What's up, y'all? It's Zach with Living Corporate. Now look, for those of y'all who are new here, the purpose of Living Corporate is to create a space that affirms Black and brown experiences in the workplace, right? There are certain things that only we can really understand. And when I say we, I mean the collective non-white professional in corporate America. And when we look around, if you like Google being Black and brown in corporate America, you may see like a post in Huffington Post or something that kind of communicates from a position of lack. But I don't know if we necessarily see a lot of content that empowers and affirms our identity and our experience. And that's really the whole purpose of Living Corporate. It's with that I'm really excited to talk to y'all about the See It to Be It series. Amy C. Waninger, who has been a guest on the show, who's a writer for Living Corporate, and who's also the author of Network Beyond Bias, she's actually partnered with Living Corporate to actually have an interviewing series where she actually sits down with Black and brown professionals so that we can learn about what they actually do and see ourselves in these roles, right? So it's a variety of industries that she's talking to a lot of different types of folks. You're going to be able to see what they do. And at the same time, you're going to hopefully be able to envision yourself in that role. Hence the title, See It to Be It. Okay. So check this out. The next thing you're going to hear is this interview with Amy C. Waninger. Y'all hang tight. Catch y'all next time. Peace.
Today's See It to Be It guest is Rebekah Ratliff. Rebekah is a former commercial complex casualty insurance professional with 25 years of experience. She is now the president of Capital City Mediations, a national mediation, arbitration, and consulting firm. She's a highly sought-after presenter and lecturer in the insurance and legal industries. Rebekah holds a degree in psychology from the University of Illinois at Urbana. She lives in Atlanta, Georgia, and operates internationally. Please welcome Rebekah Ratliff. Thank you so much for being with me today. How are you?
I am fine, Amy. Thank you. How are you doing today?
I am doing well. I am so glad to have you on the show today because you do something that is unique within our industry. And I was wondering if you could tell me just a little bit about that.
Sure. Okay. Well, I am a mediator, arbitrator, and consultant. I have a background of over 2 decades in the insurance industry as a complex casualty claims adjuster. So that's where I developed my subject matter expertise for the areas that I mediate and arbitrated. And so clients from across the country, they call upon me to consult with them about their cases, tell them what their cases are worth. I do quite a bit of lecturing at law schools and colleges and speaking for legal and insurance associations.
Now, when you say mediation and arbitration, those are a little bit different from each other.
Yes.
Can you explain for people who are not familiar with those terms what mediation is and what arbitration is?
Yes, thank you for that. There is a distinction. It's important. Mediation, I always say in opening statements, mediation is successful because it's effective, because it is collaborative and it's confidential. As a mediator, I am a facilitator. So I pass the messages back and forth between parties and I help them facilitate a resolution. But free will is the key in mediation. And in mediation, it's self-determining. That's one of the big canons of mediation. I don't get to decide and I don't convince. I don't act in the capacity of an advisor. I am a neutral. In arbitration, I am also a neutral, but I get to decide. I make the decision. I can subpoena records and subpoena people, and I ask for evidence. I bring the parties together, consider the evidence, and then I make the decision. And there is non-binding arbitration, and there is non-binding, there's non-binding and binding arbitration is what I'm trying to say. And in non-binding, if the parties don't like my decision, then they can have it vacated. But if they, in a binding arbitration, they don't have a choice. So my decision stands. And in arbitration, my decisions get reversed less than a judge's decision might. Very hard to get a decision reversed in arbitration.
And so what is the training? I know you mentioned that you had complex casualty adjusting experience, but what is the training or the licensing or the education necessary to do the kind of work you do in mediation and arbitration? Do you have to be an attorney, for example, or what are the rules?
I am not an attorney, so you do not have to be an attorney. In some states, parties prefer having an attorney, but what's nice about my background is that it's equipped me to facilitate compromises from the perspective of the payer, because I was the adjuster. And so I know if insurance is on the defense side, I know what they're thinking. But the training here in Georgia was 40 hours of mediation training. And then arbitration, it was I think it was 5 days for mediation. And then for arbitration, it was a little less than that. But then I registered with the state. So I am Georgia Supreme Court certified or registered as a mediator and arbitrator. And there are firms around here in Georgia and in most states where they will train you for mediation and arbitration. It helps to have the subject matter expertise because you can understand the issues that come to you in the hearings.
Okay. And so do you work exclusively with insurance cases, or do you work with also like marital arbitrations or divorce dissolutions and those sorts of things?
I am actually certified as a civil and domestic mediator and arbitrator. So I can do family matters, parenting plans, disputes, marriage dissolution assistance where the terms are being worked out through mediation or arbitration. I can do that. And the civil areas are medical malpractice, commercial premises liability, auto and trucking, personal injury, wrongful death, products, construction, nursing home litigation, municipal liability. So some of the cases that you're seeing in the news, I'm the consultant on. For instance, the Las Vegas mass shooting case, the $800 million settlement that was reached, I was a consultant for one of the attorneys on that case. So I enjoy applying the knowledge that I have from insurance to these cases in consultation. Mostly my clients are insurance companies, and then of course lawyers bring their clients, their defense lawyers if they're hired by the insurance carrier, but they just bring their clients to me. I generally don't work with parties who are not represented. It's so much harder to work with. I have, but that's very rare. It's harder to work with clients because of the emotion involved, especially in a domestic matter. It's very, very hard to work with those clients because then you're the neutral, but you're also a referee in a way that you really don't want to be. So I am also a minority business enterprise and a woman business enterprise. So I am certified I'm vetted for corporate and government work as well.
Congratulations on your certifications. Those are not easy to get. It's a lot of paperwork.
Yeah, WeBank is not.
They don't mess around.
NMSDC and WeBank.
Yep. Yeah. They want to see everything you've ever done financially. It's everything. It's an ordeal. I went through that as a certified Weeby, women's business enterprise, and it was nice because for me, I'm also an LGBT business enterprise. And the certifying arm for that is the NGLCC, and they will basically, you take what you did for the WeBank certification, and you say, here, I have the certification, and here's why I also qualify for your certification, which was great.
Yeah, that is great.
But there aren't a lot of them that have that reciprocity, and so like some of these are lengthy and difficult. So congratulations, because those are not easy to get, but they certainly open doors that are hard to open otherwise. So
yes, that's right.
That's awesome. So I want to get back to this mediation and arbitration thing. I think this is super exciting. So you're kind of in between, and if I understand this correctly, you've got two opposing parties, and then they have attorneys that kind of calm them down, and then bring the facts and not the emotion to you. And then you work with the attorneys to come to an agreement that is mutually agreeable in terms of mediation, or that is fair based on precedent in terms of arbitration, right?
That's very well explained. The only thing that I would add is I do see emotion because usually the attorneys bring their clients with them.
Okay.
So I do, they don't show up just as the representative. I do see the clients, and The thing about mediation, if you're talking about civil mediation, the emotion is mostly on one side, because if you're dealing with an insurance carrier on the defense side, it's a business decision. But in domestic, both are emotional, because they may be arguing, they're quarreling potentially over the kids and maybe even the dog. Sometimes there is a lamp or piece of furniture in the house that is sentimental, heirlooms, that people are fighting over, and it can get pretty contentious. So that was more than you asked for, but yeah, that was well said. You got it.
Okay, great. In the work that you do you have the experience a lot of times of being the only in the room?
Yes.
I would guess that that's the case. It's probably not very often that you show up and it's like Black women court. Have you seen that video?
I haven't. I would. Is
so,
that something? That's
it's like a meme where all the women are, the judge is a Black woman, both attorneys are Black women, the stenographer, the bailiff, like everybody. They're like, hey, like
Like, never happens.
We're both here, right? Look at us. So I'm guessing that's not your day to day.
No, that's never happened to me, actually. There are so many times, especially as a commercial adjuster, I got to handle cases that were in the millions, and I handled cases in almost all 50 states and internationally. I was a global consultant for one of the commercial carriers, and I've also handled at the primary and excess levels. So millions, and then the next layers of the millions, millions on top of millions. And so I've had quite a rich experience in deciphering. I was as the adjuster, you are the investigator, evaluator, negotiator. And so imagine me walking into a room as an African-American female, a young African-American female, and I'm the person with the pocketbook. So I've had people not want to shake my hand on the other side. It's been quite the experience, but it gave me it toughened me. I don't take it personally. I'm still the person with the money. So whether you like me or not. And so it helped me to develop a posture that was important for the work that I do now in arbitration and mediation.
And so that must get lonely too, though. So where do you go for community? Because you can't, I'm guessing, and, I've been, as a woman in IT, right? I've been the only woman on the team. But I know that when you have the intersection of race and gender, as an other in those kinds of situations, it gets lonely, it gets demoralizing, and you've got to have a place where you go, where you're around people that know what you're going through and that can kind of build you back up. So where do you go for that?
That's a great question. Okay, so we have African American female, add the insurance industry, which is historically pale, male, and stale, and then add not being a lawyer, mediator, and arbitrator. So where I go is I just jump in because I go where I want to go. So I am the secretary of the Alternative Dispute Resolution section of the National Bar Association. And for the American Bar Association, I am the co-chair of the Dispute Resolutions Diversity Committee. So I just seek to do good work. I don't worry about where I'm invited, because once they meet me, they'll invite me the next time. So I belong to organizations. Well, first of all, let me start here. I have a great family. I had parents who taught me that nobody was better than me and that I could do anything that I set out to do. And if I say I'm going to do something, I do it. And that's what people know about me. And so let's start there. But then I have great siblings. Our parents taught us to love each other. We couldn't say shut up to each other. We had to play fair. We couldn't cheat each other. I had old school parents. And so we couldn't cheat each other if we were playing a game of Sorry or Scrabble or whatever it was. We couldn't cheat each other. He taught us, my dad especially, he was just really a stickler for treating people well and the golden rule. So I build relationships pretty easily. Unless you have some ill intent, we can get along. So I've joined these organizations, and the relationships that I've built have afforded me amazing and extraordinary and unique opportunities in the legal and insurance industries. I mentioned to you, I speak, quite a bit in even as a lecturer at law schools. I mean, well, how does that happen? So I really do give credit to my faith. I believe that God has allowed me to be placed in the work that I'm purposeful in. I believe I'm walking in my purpose. And so I kind of have a tough skin. It is lonely sometimes, but I have a sister or two that they travel with me when I go to some of these conferences, so that I don't have to be on 10 the whole time. You can't be on 10 the whole time. Sometimes you just need to decompress. And so I have little mechanisms that I employ to make sure that I'm emotionally healthy when I'm moving in and out of these circles that I work in. It can be pretty contentious. And so, but again, the relationships that I've built, but I have I have a great support system, second to none.
That is so fantastic to hear. And I think we all need that. And I know you and I actually met in these down spaces in the conferences and the unwind. I think full disclosure, we met in the hotel bar.
We met in the hotel bar.
Hotel bar, mutual friend. But, it was so great to meet you in that way, because we were sitting there over drinks and we just, we got real quick, didn't we?
It's relaxing.
It was relaxing. It was a really good way to meet and connect. And, I think we built a lifelong friendship over a mojito. And
which I am very grateful for.
Me too.
I just love you pieces.
So tell me a little bit about, as you look toward the future of the work that you do, mediation, arbitration, where do you see the talent needs headed? Do you think this is going to be in higher demand? This doesn't seem like a job robots will take over.
No. A robot cannot connect with people and understand the human condition and help to facilitate compromises. You have to use every active listening skill you've ever learned in mediation and arbitration. Those areas of work are becoming more popular, very, very well needed. And there's so many different areas that people are specializing in addition to the traditional areas that you hear about. We didn't talk about criminal, but there's also people who have mental illness need special attention in a mediation and arbitration setting. I dealt with a matter a couple of months ago, and it was a full circle moment, because the company that I left to launch my own practice as an entrepreneur hired me to do a mediation a couple months ago. So it was amazing. And the plaintiff on the other side was pro se, meaning he did not have a lawyer. And I got some information before the hearing to make sure that he would have capacity. He's a PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder diagnosed veteran. And I wanted to know if he even had capacity to be in that hearing. But I have a psychology degree from the University of Illinois. So, I don't have a graduate degree in psychology, but I understand people very well. I have a discernment of people. But I just took my time with that case. And I assured him that I didn't have anywhere else to be that day. And found out before we did the joint opening sessions whether he even wanted to have a joint opening session, or did he just want to speak with me. And he wanted to have his day in the hearing. He wanted to be heard. He wanted to be able to express himself, and trial was imminent. So I wanted to give him that opportunity, because in trial, he's got the rules. You can't just talk emotion. You've got to stick to what the judge has told you that you can talk about in that case. And so we were able to work through that case, and it was very gratifying to me to help him reach the resolution, because I really didn't think he could endure a trial. And I was able to, as a neutral, just facilitate the messaging back and forth, keeping in mind that everybody, people really don't want to be in dispute. People do not want to be in dispute. And most people who come to alternative dispute resolution sessions, they are coming because they want to settle the matter and move on. And so I had the opportunity to emphasize, and I believe it was an opportunity for me, to emphasize to him how important it was for him to move on and spend time with his granddaughter, who was clearly the most important person in his life. But I made it clear to him that it wasn't my decision that day. There would only be a resolution if both parties agreed to it. But that day was, it really meant something to me, because at the end of the hearing, after the settlement, he thanked me he thanked me and he said, I know I was really hard on you. And, and I said, we're okay. And I actually had sat at one point in a private session with him and watched him have a conversation with a voice in his head and wondered for a moment whether or not I was even safe in the room with him. But we were able to get it, done. And so I just think your heart has to be in the right place. If you are a professional who is interested in alternative dispute resolution, you have to keep in mind that the most important thing is that, the messaging be accurate and that people have the opportunity to get out what they want to say and how they feel. Each party has to have some of their interests met. It's a compromise and everybody has to give and take. And I'll say in my hearings that nobody is supposed to feel like they won in a mediation. In a mediation, everybody gives a little. The defense is supposed to feel like they paid too much and the plaintiff is supposed to feel like they didn't get enough. And that's a successful mediation in my book. But I will have to say, so there are opportunities coming. Certainly the industries recognize that mediation and arbitration are important. And you know that because in your cell phone contract, there is probably a mandatory arbitration clause. You'll see now that companies are using mediation and arbitration more. But in addition to that, I have to say the insurance industry is the best kept secret. Careers in insurance are the best kept secret. I am part of an effort through an organization that I lead. I'm the president of the Atlanta Association of Insurance Professionals. And that is the local chapter of NAIA, the National African American Insurance Association. And NAIA presidents are doing some important things in the industry to bring diverse talent in, because we have 400,000 insurance professionals aging out. The baby boomers are aging out of the industry. And there are going to be jobs available in the next 5 to 7 years with companies where young people coming out of college can build transferable skills for a lifetime. The skills that I have to be an effective mediator and arbitrator came from my career in the insurance industry of 25 years. So I want to also emphasize gaining subject matter expertise as an underpinning to go into something like dispute resolution, because insurance touches everything. It's recession proof. Again, you build transferable skills. It's lucrative. You can have longevity. And there are trade associations that will support a career in insurance. One of the things that I'm very proud of recently is I'm the president of NAIA Atlanta. There is the president of NAIA Hartford, Ngazi Anaji, and the president of NAIA Florida have teamed up with me, and we do have some other professionals who are supporting what we do, but we are going after the talent at HBCUs. It's the Impact Program. It started at Morehouse. The Atlanta chapter had the opportunity last year of meeting a young man at Morehouse. We did a session where we took some professionals over for a panel, but it was homecoming week, so it was a bad idea. And not that many students showed up, but the ones who were supposed to be there were there. And we met a young man who we offered support in getting an adjuster's license over Christmas break. And he did that. His name is Cortland Mallory, and he has been the face of the Impact Program. He went Christmas break and he got his licensing in adjusting. We supported him through the program. We have a member of my chapter who owns an insurance school. I have two people who own insurance schools here in Atlanta, Ron Thomas, R.S. Thomas and Associates, and Tamara Gatson of Gatson Training Associates. And he went to Ron's school just because it was closer in proximity to where he was. He got his license in adjuster and then went on and took the test for agency, and he's a licensed life agent as well. So this kid graduated from Morehouse in May, and he's working in our industry. I named that program Impact. I like acronyms. And so the acronym stands for Insurance Mentoring Program Advanced Career Track. And so we basically took that model and rolled it in. So me and the other two presidents that I mentioned have started programs at FAMU. That's Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University in Tallahassee, Florida, and also at Bethune-Cookman University in Daytona Beach. We launched those programs in October, the Impact Program, and that's the mother program, and we named those programs individually. But now we're going to Savannah State University and North Carolina Central in the spring. And so we have the opportunity to sow good seed. I believe if you sow good seed, you'll reap good seed. And so we are going after the diverse talent at the historically Black colleges and universities, or HBCUs, to ensure that those students have some education and information about career opportunities in insurance. And then there are trade associations available like NIA, like RIMS for risk management, CLM, claims litigation management. I'm very good friends with the president and CEO, Ann Bloom. We've got some damage we plan to do in the future, some collaborations coming. So there is support. There is support for developing skills where you can make money, and anybody, you can major in anything and be in the insurance industry. That's what people don't know. You don't have to have a risk management insurance program at your school. We partner heavily with Georgia State University here. I sit on the Risk Management Foundation Advisory Board for Georgia State University. We also have a great relationship with the University of Georgia here, and they have great risk management programs. But there are schools who have a business school or don't have any of that, and we are spreading the love. We're getting around and making sure that those students have exposure to the information for careers in insurance.
And I love what you said about the industry, the jobs being the best kept secret, right? Because they are invisible jobs. People don't see them, right? There's no, there's no game show on TV who wants to be an insurance adjuster, right? Like
nobody talks about
it. And unfortunately, I think there's a stereotype that's to some extent true, that a lot of folks in the industry, right, underwriters, actuaries, they go sit behind a desk and they don't talk to anybody. And if they don't talk to people, nobody knows what they do. Right. And so we have to use our loud mouths, those of us who are extroverted and have been in the industry, right, to say, hey, you guys, come on, there's great work to be done over here, and you can make a good living and do good doing it.
That's exactly right. That's right.
You've got to something.
Build it's a huge network. And most people know, what we're discovering is that most people, of course, they know about auto insurance, home insurance, life insurance, health insurance. So when I would say to somebody, I'm an insurance adjuster, they were like, oh, I want to talk to you about this health claim that the insurance company doesn't want to cover. And I'm like, I don't know anything about that. I'm a casualty adjuster. I handle the heavy stuff like, not that obviously if you're having health problems, that's not heavy, but the, civil matters, casualty matters that are not dealing with criminal insurance, supported matters. And so people they just don't know. So we got out there and, we've been out touching these schools, and we have the career centers working with us, and we will be on the campus of AU Center here in Atlanta. We just want to bring more faces of minorities into these industries, because I made a great living as an insurance adjuster. And so it was just my destiny really to transition at some point. But there are people who have been in the insurance industry for 30 and 40 years before they retire. Many, especially if you worked for a good company with, benefits like profit sharing and, supportive ERGs or employee resource groups. That's becoming a big thing now too. So there are companies that know that they need to support work-life balance. There's a lot of support behind that now. And so there are just great things happening really in the insurance industry and also in the dispute resolution sector.
That's fantastic, Rebekah. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise and your journey with us. I have just 2 more questions for you.
Okay.
The first is, when do you feel included?
I feel included when I'm asked to serve. I believe that servants are sometimes the least thanked, but it's thankless, but it's very gratifying if you understand that you're supposed to do it. Service is a no-brainer for me. I've raised a son who is a servant as well. He's a leader and a servant. And so I feel included when I am asked to serve.
And when you feel included, what are you capable of?
When I feel included, I can bring value. When I feel included, I feel like it opens up the potential for me to think creatively and to collaborate and to make amazing things happen with goodwill and with the amazing people that I've been able to meet. So I get to leverage my network, and there's nothing better than that.
Rebekah Ratliff, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Amy. Thanks for having me.
Living Corporate is a podcast by Living Corporate LLC. Our logo was designed by David Dawkins. Our theme music was produced by Ken Brown. Additional music production by Antoine Franklin for Musical Elevation. Post-production is handled by Jeremy Jackson. Got a topic suggestion? Email us at livingcorporatepodcast@gmail.com. You can find us online on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and living-corporate.com. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned.